Welcome to Reality D Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing, finally, 90 Day OG. So, before we get into that, I do have one teeny tiny little hot goss, and then we'll hop right into the episode. So, my piece of hot goss, which is Love is Blind related, is Jeremy just has to say, you know what? My behavior when I broke up with Laura, mainly the jet ski scene, was really bad. That was really bad. Well, here's what he has to say. So, amid all the backlash for his disregard of Laura's feelings, Jeremy admitted on Monday that he was shocked by his behavior. How can you be shocked? You know what you did. You can't be shocked. But let's continue. He commented on the clip where he's jet skiing with Sarah Ann. He wrote, quote, "I don't condone how I acted during this. I'm even watching this back like, what the fuck? Sure you are." He also responded to fans who applauded Laura for confronting him about his late night antics. He said, quote, "She definitely put me in my place, rightfully so." But wait a minute, wasn't it so funny? Wasn't it you, Jeremy, about a month ago or so? Because I read that as well. Saying that people should stop being mean to everybody, especially all the men on the show. Well, you know what? I don't really believe you, especially when the month ago you just wanted to kind of be like, you know, oh my god, everyone's being so mean. Like, shut up. And you know what? The men suck on this show no differently than they suck on Married at First Sight right now. The men just suck. Okay? Men suck. Except for mine. Anyway. And sometimes he even sucks. That's that for the hot goss. I know it's very quick, very little. But we're gonna hop right into the episode. So, 90 Day OG, Season 10, Episode 19, Tell All Part 1. Now it was an okay tell all. Yeah, it was alright. I did have moments where I'm like, oh, okay. But it wasn't like it had some explosive tell alls. Anyway, we'll talk about looks a little bit. We'll talk about the set a little bit, which I think I kind of already gave my thoughts on that last week, but let's get into it. So, as always, we are in New York City. Nikki Exotica, not just Nikki, but Nikki Exotica is here. She, at this particular point in time, really has to tell us, well, this was really a real life love, and now it's a nightmare. Is my hair cute? The transition. Anyway, Jasmine, her coat on the way in, alongside everything else, was a choice at the very least. Didn't really like it. But anyway, Jasmine does get changed into her purple sparkly dress, and I thought she looked incredible in it. Gino does say, nothing is perfect. Tell-alls are usually when it's me against her. That's true. Ashley, in her green dress, she actually looked really great. But guess what, guys? She actually lost a bunch of weight. 101 to be exact. She looks incredible. Good for her. So now she's going to Sage, because let's get all of the demons out of this. She sages Gino first, and quite a bit. He's like, get all the bad energy out of me. She's like, I'm trying, Gino. I'm trying. This might take a little minute, but I'm trying. Um, the set, guys, the set. It's probably one of the most ugliest sets in history. What is this? Why? Why do we have all of these like colors with other colors that don't go, and it just is. I didn't like it at all. Um, but what can you do, I guess, right? Make it better. But anyway, Sophie with her dark hair is beautiful. Never go back. But here's the funny thing that she tells us. She says, I went blonde because Rob told me to. I'm sorry? Rob says, I never told her that. I actually like her brown hair. Someone's lying. And you know what? I mean, honestly, I feel like after, I mean, Sophie never really was my favorite person. That didn't mean I liked Rob. We're pretty clear on this podcast. We don't like Rob here. But after this tell all, I honestly was very annoyed by Sophie because it went to show this a woman, a young woman who isn't ready for marriage because she can't even do the simplest things. And we'll get to it. But in this case, nonetheless, if I have to think of which evil am I gonna believe, and I'm not saying either of them are evil or not, but I'm just saying lesser of two evils, I'm going to believe Sophie. I really do think he told her to go blonde, probably because he had an ex-girlfriend who had blonde hair and whatever. So, anyway, but Sophie does look great at the end of the day. Rob's suit, like all the men for the most part, looked okay. But Rob's suit, I didn't like it. The pattern on the suit, no, no. Mm-mm. Then Nikki comes in the green room in this pink dress that is a lot, but she does look pretty in pink. And yeah, she looks great. But Jasmine, loves Nikki. Apparently, they've become online friends, and now this is the opportunity for them to meet each other. So, she's happy about that. She says that Nikki can be their third wheel, and Gino is down to do that. Okay. Nikki asks, did we stage because I got such bad energy? Oh, what happened, Nikki? Well, apparently, y'all, I'm so done. Nikki, apparently, she went to Moldova, celebrated Justin Igor's birthday, and all was well. And I'm like, didn't you guys break up? Did you want to explain? Anyway, she came back. Apparently, all was great until the night before this tell, he calls her and says, you know what? I think we should be close friends, meaning, if you come into Moldova every once in a while or whatever, we can still fuck sometimes. I don't even know. And she's like, well, I didn't know where this was coming from. And, everything was fine. Like, I don't get. But he dropped this bomb apparently saying, I'm not trans attracted. And I think it was Rob that says this, or maybe it was Sam, I can't remember. One of the two, but one of them says, not trans attracted. That's kind of too late for that. Amen. Amen. This fucking, and we're going to get into a little bit more with Justin Igor because His takes are horrible. The way he treats Nikki is manipulative, and I don't like him. And you know what? I don't like anyone does. Because I think even Rob's like, he's got issues. Oh yeah, he does. Apparently, one of the biggie, sound like, what's her face? Larissa. One of the biggest issues with Justin Igor is he thinks it's perfectly fine to be a Nazi. That's a problem. Anyway, but that's what's happening. She needs to have be saged because of all this bad energy. So Ashley comes over and sages her. You know, here comes Jitra and Sam, and they got a big announcement, y'all. I'm just gonna spoil it now because everybody talks about it on the Married at First Sight episode, but you broke up before this one. They're pregnant. That's it. 12 weeks to be exact. Anyway. So in walks Clayton and Annalie. She looks great. He looks like Clayton. Let's move on. But Manuel says, so why a closet? What's with the closet? And everyone's like, I would never put my mom in the closet. Y'all, she decided to go in the closet, okay? She walked into the closet. This was her words. Walked into the fucking closet and said, this is mine, and slept in the fucking closet. She made a choice. She slept in the closet. She didn't need to sleep in my closet. That's not on Clayton. But anyway, he doesn't want to talk about the closet. Why? That was a selling point of your freaking storyline was Closet Mom. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough of that. And then when we did, we find out that Closet Mom's actually a little bit trash. But anyways, it is what it is. Then here comes in the couple that we all forgot about, Nick and Devin. She looks great though. You know what? And Nick is here to just defend himself, calling his wife Piggy. He doesn't want to hear he doesn't want to hear from the haters. Nick, take some constructive feedback and stop calling your fucking wife a piggy. And stop acting like you're holier than thou self, being like, I'm not saying anything wrong. Ooh. You're so annoying. Anyway, now it's time to head on set because now it's time to start this shit show. And here comes Shaun looking as great as always. She's wearing a red dress. She looks great. But are we ready for this shit show? I think so. Let's get into it. Justin Igor has to keep looking to the left because he thinks that's the only way that Nikki can see him. That's for us, Justin Igor. That's so we, as the audience, can see you. She can see you from somewhere else. You don't have to keep looking to your left for us, our right. He doesn't know me. Let's move on. So, he says, babe, you look like a phoenix. A phoenix? Why do you look like a phoenix? Well, he says, the dress. It's interesting. What? Then Ashley, along with Jasmine, calls this fucker out and says, you literally told her you don't want to be with her anymore. You told her you're not trans attracted. What the fuck? And now here you are, literally being this sweet and whatever, boyfriend or whatever. What the fuck? So Ashley, did we consult with the cards? How is today gonna go? Well, let's just do it now, right? So she does that. She pulls a card and I did do my best to catch the cards that she pulls. So here we go. Number one. Anything in the dark will come to the light. And that is the Knight of cards. Like, what's that? Anyway, number two. Judgment. We are all gonna have our own opinions. Number three. The Four of Wands. I don't even know. I didn't quite get that, but that's fine. It's our happiness card. However, that card is upside down, which means that someone is probably going to be leaving here unhappy. You know what? That's every tell. That's not just this tell. That's all tells. Someone leaves unhappy. And Emily apparently moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, that's great. Where's Mom? Oh, she's there too. Are you kidding me? So y'all moved to Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Mom had to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, or did y'all follow Mom to Tulsa, Oklahoma? We'll get to it though. Wait for it. Jasmine is, starting to adjust, to Michigan, taking it day by day. It's fine. But you know what? She is doing it more, or doing a lot better with it. She now considers herself a Michigan girl. Okay, so Nick and Devin, they still love each other. Fortunately, there was hesitation though. And of course, Clayton had to point that out. Clayton, shut up. Anyways, moving. Then Sam and Chitra, like I said, this is where they announced that they're having a baby. She's 12 weeks long. Let's move into it now. We're going to be focusing on Rob and Sophie first. So, they've actually moved to Austin, Texas, right after they got married. So that's great. All right. The best part about them moving to Austin, Texas, is that where they live now, there's a bathroom inside their house. Sophie can now pee in her house. It's great. Justin Igor says, well, think about it though. If you had a bathroom outside, you could take a shit and you never know. You don't take that back into the house. And I think it was Clayton was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good point. So that's true. That was one take that Justin Igor had that actually made sense. Okay. But anyways, so it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be. I'd rather smell my man's shit and know that I can have a bathroom inside my home. Anyway, let's talk about the online cheating. This is the one thing Rob does not want to talk about. But this is 90 Day Fiancé tell all. We tell all. So let's get into it. So, he wasn't really looking for anything, he wasn't trying to go on somebody else. But he wouldn't really respond, but he would say more like leading things, like said more. That's what he says he would say. But so he's like, oh no, no, that's not correct. You would say more than that. You would say like, oh, this is so hot. Oh, I'm so hard. This and that. But the biggest thing is, it's like, would you send pictures of you to them? Now listen, I'm aware that his butthole is floating around there, and apparently he has a very nice butthole. That's great. I don't want to see it. I don't even want to. There's nothing that makes me want to say, I want to see Rob's dick. I don't give a shit. But I guarantee you there's probably something floating around, and he probably has sent his dick to somebody. And here's the thing. We're going to have a debate here in a minute about whether or not this is cheating. I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I'm going to put of course I am. This is my podcast. But yeah, so he says she says that this is what he will respond to it, even though he says he wouldn't do that. He kind of confirms, yet I don't know if I fully believe him because of the hesitation. But at the same time, I don't think he met up with these people. It's just the hesitation. I do wonder if maybe he wouldn't meet up with these people, but is it possible he met up with other people who weren't involved in any of this? But he does say that he wouldn't meet up with anybody. They're strictly online. That's that. But Justin Igor has, like I said, one of the worst takes and says this isn't cheating because it's online. Here's what the debate kind of is. He's kind of saying it's not cheating because it is online. You're not always there. Men have needs. That misogynist bullshit, basically, right? But here's what I'll say. Here's the difference. I fully believe this is cheating because you are actually interacting with somebody, asking things. Okay. Yes, everybody has needs. Yes, everybody, and not just men, fucking asshole. We all do. We all have needs. But if Rob simply logged onto a Pornhub or a Brazzers or whatever, logged onto some sort of porn site, pick a video and jack off to that, or better yet, if he was even at least asking Sophie if she was comfortable doing so, you know, send me a pic, send me a video, whatever, right? I miss you, blah, blah. That would have been great, but apparently he wasn't even doing that. Never even asked her if she would do that. Um, but if he was just going on porn and watching porn, that's not cheating. At least for me, that's not cheating. And I don't even think for Sophie, she would consider that cheating. I feel like she's a fairly reasonable girl or woman, so I don't think she would actually think that's cheating. It is the mere fact that Rob was, yes, getting porn, but he's actually talking to another woman and getting porn. He was watching cam girls. That's the difference. And maybe he was getting like, you know, private videos or whatever. Like if this was like an OnlyFans type situation, he was getting like private videos or something from somebody, then, you know, whatever. But that's still him interacting with somebody. It's the mere interaction and talking to this person in a way that he should only be talking to Sophie. Like, that's the thing. How he, or how, well, more so how she was explaining how he was talking to these people is how I expect my boyfriend to only talk to me like. You should only be telling me that you have these feelings. You shouldn't be going outside of our relationship with anybody, even if it is a cam girl. Because we all know men can fall in love with cam girls. Hello, what's that Charlie Brown looking guy's name again? Who fell in love with the Yeminer? Like, it's possible. So, I do believe it's that aspect of it. It's a very fine line, but it's that aspect of it that makes it cheating. You could have needs, but watch porn. You're not actually physically interacting with that person. You're just watching them have sex. There's nothing wrong with that. It's, again, like I said, very fine line, but it's you're interacting with them. That's where the cheating aspect comes in. So for Justin Igor to say this isn't cheating because it's online cheating exists. Of course it exists. If you are interacting with somebody for, well, in this case, sexual gratification, that is cheating. If you're interacting with somebody online and you're getting emotional, mental gratification, that is still cheating as well. So this fucker telling me and everybody else that that's not cheating because it's online, you're a fucking idiot. Stop talking. Shush. But anyway, that's my thoughts and feelings on the whole thing. I fully believe this is cheating on his part. And you know what? You also know what makes it cheating as well. It's very simple. If Rob had to hide it from her, then clearly he knew that she wasn't gonna like it. If he was watching porn or something, he wouldn't hide that. At least in my experience anyways, that's not hidden for me anyway. Maybe it could be hidden for other people, but for me, it's not hidden. So it's just like, that's also just kind of lends to he at least knew right from wrong and knew this was probably something she wasn't going to agree with. It's not wrong, but when you are in a relationship with somebody, it might not be the thing you should do. But anyway, um, Gino does ask, well, it didn't happen after she got here, right? No, he says it didn't happen after. Here's the thing. So both me and my mom watching were like, she found out after. That technically was weeks prior, and she found it when she got there, right? Remember that scene? Um, but it technically did happen prior to her being in the States. She just happened to find it when she was in the States. So he wasn't doing it when she was there. But like, I mean, everyone has their thing, I guess. But again, if you're in a relationship with somebody, maybe stay away from the cam girl sites. And isn't that something you have to pay for? Sir, you barely have money. So Ashley does ask Sophie a pretty good question. How could you be so sure that he isn't doing it anymore? Well, that is because Sophie has been going through his shit. She's been going through his phone, kind of sees that he's not doing anything. And even though she is someone who believes in privacy, at the same time, she feels like she needs to, make sure he isn't stepping out. But here's the thing again, if you need to constantly going through his phone, and I think we did talk about this, you're not building the trust back. You're just not. These two hate each other, by the way. Anyways, now here comes Claire. And actually, this was an interesting situation for Claire. So let's get into it. She stands by everything she has said about Rob to this point. Still thinks he's in love, I guess. And she's like, here's the thing. He made promises. He didn't even clean. And then there's the bathroom. Sophie does agree with her mom when it comes to, the place. And, she's like, she could have gotten a different place. But here's the funny thing is Rob says, okay, but Sophie, you knew my situation. And his situation he's come out with since, I don't know if I ever said it here, but it had something to do with the dogs and he couldn't find another place. This place was the only place that would allow dogs. So, I think he had rescued dogs or something like that. So, this was the only place that he could bring dogs. So that's why he was in this place. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But he's like, you knew my situation. You're one of the only people who knew my situation. And you kind of feel, I think, for him, like she's throwing it in his face. And she says, like, listen, I still feel like you could have gotten a better place, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, and I've said this before. Sophie knew what the fuck she was getting into. She had been to the place before. She knew he didn't fucking move, and you still went. You can't keep continuously, don't make me agree with fucking Rob, but you can't continuously make excuses and say, yeah, he should have maybe got a better place because he knew I was coming. You fucking knew. So shut the fuck up about it. You are not even there anymore. And really, from what it seems, only lived there for 3 months. So shut the fuck up about the place. Shut up. Shut up. It's done. Okay, this show was filmed at minimum a year ago. They have been out of this place now for at least at minimum a year. Shut the fuck up. I'm tired of this woe is me situation when she fucking knew. And she made a choice. God. Anyway, and Rob kind of says, like, you never take my side, which is true. She doesn't take her side in front of Rob. When it comes, in front of Claire. She's like, well, if she's wrong, I'll tell her. And if you're wrong, I'll tell you. No. And we'll get to that. But anyway, she says, she gets it because, you know, LA is expensive, blah, blah, that's what he could afford. Okay, great. So then why are we still talking about it? But Claire interrupts and says, well, no, like, you were working 3 jobs in England, and Rob was just playing his video games. He wasn't even working. And Rob says, the fuck? He's like, first of all, no, I was working. I had 2 jobs. So who gives a shit if he's playing video games, if he has the time to do so? If he was working 2 jobs. He says, and right before she came here, she was in Mexico. When the fuck was she working in England? Like, when? And like, not only that, but I was also living with her in Mexico. Then Claire drops this bomb that we didn't think would be a bomb, but apparently it was, and says, yeah, and who was paying for the rent in Mexico? I was. And Rob's like, to Sophie, your mom was paying the rent in Mexico? And Sophie's response is, I'm trying to listen. Okay. So what I'm understanding here is he was probably under the impression that Sophie, with whatever money she had, was paying the rent in Mexico. Little did he know that Claire was actually paying the rent in Mexico. And Sophie lied to Rob about the fact that her mom was paying the rent in Mexico, right? So now that's coming to the light. But what did Ashley say? What's in the article come to light, right? She said that. So now that's coming to the light that the rent was being paid by Claire. And Rob is questioning Sophie on it. Sophie's dodging the question and said, I'm trying to listen. No, answer the fucking question. Your husband has asked you a question. Because he was under the impression of it was another way. So why don't you answer the goddamn? She never answers the question, by the way. So Sophie says it doesn't matter. Rob says, of course it does. Claire he said, Claire, you are the epitome of kettle calling the pot black. You have no job. You got fucked up men in your life. And you want to talk about me? Okay. He's like, you don't respect me. So why should I respect you? Like, I'm supposed to respect you as my mother-in-law, but you don't respect me as her husband. So like, and you know what? I don't blame him. I don't. Listen. If this is gonna be a situation of like a Tanya and Sinjin situation where we all hated Tanya, and then all of a sudden she got this edit, that's gonna be real fucking interesting, I would say. Anyway, I don't blame him. Just because she is his mother-in-law does not mean that he just automatically respects her. Especially when she doesn't respect him. Respect is earned to a certain extent. And when you keep doing things that constantly breaks that, you're definitely not gonna get it. Anyway. And he's like, all she wants to do is disrespect me and talk about shit and whatever. And I don't do that. But Sophie throws him under the bus and says, all you do is disrespect her. And also, Claire does call Rob a knob during the situation too. I wanted to point that out because in a little bit, she also then kind of contradicts herself. But yes, but in this moment, she does call him a knob. And yeah, but then when it comes to Sophie kind of throwing him under the bus, she does that a lot. She'll say, yeah, you disrespect her all the time. He's like, but I don't talk to her. So clearly the only way that Claire is privy to Rob talking shit about his mother-in-law is because Sophie is telling her. That's not a safe place for Rob. Because, okay, when it comes to a marriage, now again, I'm divorced, but whatever. When it comes to a marriage, I should be able to talk shit and vice versa and know that it's going to stay within this relationship. It's not going to go out anywhere else because you're supposed to be the safe place that I can talk. And when you find out that that person has been talking shit to somebody else, it's not fun to kind of know, oh, I can't even talk to you. I can't even trust to know that I can talk to you. And I know that feeling. I had it happen to me when I thought I was trusting my ex with things that I needed to tell him. And turned out he was telling the woman who he had a child with, which is even worse, behind my back. And when I found out that's what he was doing, I'm like, you are the person that I'm supposed to trust. And yet, here you are, talking shit. It's not a fun feeling. Now, I took the road of, I'm going to yell I almost broke up with him. That was me. I was at that particular moment in time, and he was still in the country. That particular moment in time, I said, if I can't trust you with the bare minimum, my bare minimum expectation, then what is the point when we're already hanging on thread, right? And that's kind of the same situation with Rob and Sophie. I kind of feel that these two are hanging on a thread, and she can't even not talk to her mom about something. There's no boundary. Everyone here is kind of now putting their 2 cents in. And Gino and Sam both kind of come to Rob's defense, and they're not going to be the only ones, and say that, she is kind of attacking his character. It's not great. Nikki says it's fucked up. And Claire says, the name calling is wrong, and I have apologized for that, ma'am. 2 seconds ago, you just called him a knob. But you apologize for the name calling, and you know it's when 2 seconds ago you just called him a knob. That is something. My God. Ashley says that, she's just being protective. No, she's her mother. That's what moms do. But the way she's going about it, it's hurting Rob. That is true. And at the end of the day, both Rob and Claire trigger each other. That is also very astute, because that's true. They do trigger each other. But does Claire believe that Rob is the right person for Sophie? No, she doesn't. Because of how he treats her. Now, that I can get behind. That I can get behind with. But what I can't get behind is her saying he doesn't treat her like a princess. That's the fucking problem. She is a fucking spoiled brat princess, and you expect him to continue doing that. That's not fucking realistic. She needs to fucking grow up. But anyways, bye Claire, thank you so much. She's gone now. You know what, Rob and Sophie, we wish you the very best. Now it's lunchtime. Let's move on. Rob doesn't see the point. He feels alone, which that's exactly the problem. He can't even feel like he can confide in his wife because she's proven he can't trust her. He constantly feels like Sophie is on her mom's side. Sophie doesn't know how to be there for both of them. Well, if you don't, okay, again, I feel like this is the whole just life experience. But if you don't know how to be for both of them, be there for both of them, then the person you need to be choosing is the one you said I do to. But instead, she says, Rob is strong. He can take care of himself. So I'm going to be there for my mom. Your mom's also a grown-ass woman and should be there for herself. Are you kidding me? Ashley says, well, I think he feels demasculated. That's not the right word. I think she meant to say emasculated, but anyways, demasculated. That's funny. Rob comes back in and, just wishing that his wife would kind of support him a bit more, but God, I mean, he's not wrong. It's a thing. But neither person seems to validate each other in this moment. Rob says, okay, so we're going to make this. Your mom thinks that I should have forgotten the K1 visa and not bring you here. Do you agree with that? Instead of Sophie just answering the question though, she kind of just says like, well, my mom, like, I agree with her, like, the apartment and this and that. I'm like, no, answer the fucking question. He wants to fucking know. Should you have come when you did? Because according to your mom, you shouldn't have. Do you agree? That's what he wants to fucking know. And you can't even fucking give him that. So fucking bullshit. Ashley says, okay, but you are, shitting on him. Your mom is shitting on him. He feels no support. And Devin says, yeah, but you need to be an advocate for your partner. If, you may, and again, this is true, you may agree with him in the moment because that is your husband. You're going to agree with him in the moment. And then later on, you're going to tell him he's a fucking idiot in private. That's what you do. That's how partners work. But you can't even fucking do the bare fucking minimum when it comes to being someone's wife. This girl had no business being in a marriage with anybody. She's too fucking young. That's the problem. And yeah, she's not doing a great job being a wife. I'm not saying he's doing being a good job being a husband. I don't think that necessarily either. These two people should not be together. That's how it comes down to. Because I would never shit on my partner in front of other people. I'm gonna shit on him in private. Okay? Like, again, I haven't done Sister Wives yet, but it's coming. Just like Garrick, who gives us all the ick, literally is talking all this bullshit, which we'll get to that episode. And you have Danielle sitting there being like, what the fuck? She literally, after the fact, said, you're a fucking idiot. But I'm not going to tell you that on camera. That is what you do. That's how you have a successful marriage, honestly. But it's not even like it seems like she doesn't take a side on anything. That's what it feels like. Ugh. And again, here you have me feeling bad for Rob. I don't like that. Then Jasmine says, well, all I hear is how you did this and you did that. But that is the K1 visa. It's a lot. But I hate that entitlement that kind of has like the foreigner should not, have to live in a comfortable state, right? Or sorry, in a constant state of gratitude. But Nikki and Ashley both say, I don't think that's what he's saying. And I agree. I don't think that's what he was saying. He is not saying that she should live in this constant state of gratitude because of the fact that he brought her here. No, I don't think that's necessarily it. What he is saying is, I need to have the basic support from my wife. Everything else aside. And he's not getting that. If anything, it's the other way around. Sophie has to constantly keep talking. Well, I moved here from England. You acted like you moved here from a fucking, like, okay, it's England. Okay, if you didn't want to move, you didn't have to. But you keep having to constantly say, I just wish you would be a little bit, better about the fact that I moved here from across the world and all this and all that. And it's like, okay, that's her wanting constant gratitude for her moving. That's bullshit at the very fucking least. It just is. Anyway, these fucking people. And we're getting more of this, guys. Yay. Sophia and Rob at this point kind of just hate each other. It's clear. But she acknowledges that she needs to support him more, especially when it comes to her mom. Guess we'll see how that turns out. But that's basically it for Rob and Sophie. Let's move on to Ashley and Manuel. They're next. So, have you ever wanted to guest on a podcast like this one that you're listening to right now? Well, you can. You can definitely do this by visiting a website called Podmatch, where you can sign up and be available for all different types of podcasts that you can guest on. Or you can even search for a podcast and say, I want to guest on your podcast. I think we'd be a good match. So if you want to do this, you can go to our unique link, which is joinpodmatch.com/reality, and you can sign up and do exactly that. And you can find us and you can guest on our podcast. So again, that unique link is www.joinpodmatch.com. That's joinpodmatch.com/reality, REALITEA, and you can be a guest on our podcast. The rain was a good luxury room for them, they say. Manuel says that I don't think she is a witch, because witches do bad. She does good. Manuel, honey, that's still a witch. Oh, there was no, I'm sure there's bad witches, I'm sure, but witches are good. Anyway, let's talk about sex magic, y'all. Okay, so this is gross and I would never do this. There are, you could go to like a place and you get some penis candles, which is interesting. So you can get a penis candle, and when you get the penis candle, you cover that penis candle in your partner's semen. Ew. And now you can add the other herbs and you burn it. Voila, there is sex magic. And this is if you want to keep the love going a little longer. I don't think so. It's the semen aspect of it for me. No thanks. I don't think anyone is going to be doing any form of sex magic, but anyways. So you guys tend to, use sex to solve your problems. Why is that? Then we get the fucking scene. It was not great. But anyways, there are many ways to fix your problems, Manuel says. And this is the way that they chose. And they both like it. You know what? Fair. I mean, sex is great and it's fun and it feels really great. But it also doesn't fix your fucking problems. I'm just saying. It just puts a band-aid on it. That's all. Well, here comes Ashley's mom. I don't remember her name. And we have, I think it's Stacy. And we have her sister here, Sienna, as well. They look great. But you know what? Mom doesn't really trust Manuel. She just doesn't. So, why not? Mom, why don't you trust him? Well, it was because he left his kids without telling them that he was leaving. And she would rather they not have kids because what if he takes off on my grandchildren? Well, Mom, it's not up to you whether or not they have kids or not. It's not up to you at all. And if he does, well, then he does. It's his loss. But she's like, all they do is argue and have sex. Oh, now that's some shots fired. My God. Ashley's like, well, we communicate. When? Ashley, when? When do you communicate? Because to communicate with your partner means you have to open your mouth and words come out. Not open your mouth and a dick goes in. You know what I mean? Come on. Ugh. Anyway, she told her mom's like, yeah, but then you have sex. Oh my God, Stacey's coming. Santa does agree. If you lie to your family, what could he be lying to Ashley about? Ashley just makes excuses and, he says that communicating to his kids can sometimes be tough. He also does say that they knew he was leaving, just didn't know when, but then he just took off, right? But Sienna gets emotional saying she just doesn't want, or Sador doesn't trust he is actually the one for her. And, him being secretive, those are red flags for them. And apparently he still is secretive with Ashley. I'm sorry, but there should be no fucking secrets in your marriage. There just shouldn't be. But he says that he avoids having money conversations because it does stress Ashley out. So he just avoids it. Ashley says, well, they never talked about how much they were going to be sending or the timing of when they were going to be sending. Nothing was discussed. But Mom makes a very good point here and says, well, sure, he may not have brought anything up, but you sure as hell could have taken that responsibility and brought that up. Instead, all you do is have sex. My God. But Ashley's like, but I don't have kids. I don't know what to ask. You don't need to have kids to know what to ask. You don't. I'm sorry. You are a grown woman. You're in your 30s when you marry this guy. You should just know what you need to ask. Just the bare minimum. Okay, so you're their father. You work. You support them. Is that something that's going to have to continue on? That's one question down. That's not hard. So this excuse of I don't know what to ask is ridiculous. Mom says the money issue is an issue because Ashley is the only person making money. And then her mom kind of drops a bomb and says, I will give Ashley money in order for her to send money back to his family. Oh, what? So apparently Ashley is struggling so hard, which I don't even know what Ashley does for a living. Is she just a witch? That's all she does for a living? You need a better job, ma'am. Like an actual paying job. But anyway, yeah, but Mom has to kind of say she doesn't have an issue with sending money to Ashley to send to the family. The issue is that if Ashley buys coffee or if her mom brings her coffee, he gets upset about that because he still has an issue with the coffee. From Manuel, he says the coffee, me being upset with the coffee is because she has a coffee maker. So why would you go out and buy coffee? Manuel, welcome to North America. We're here. We may have coffee makers or Keurig or whatever. And or an espresso and still go out and buy coffee. Because that's just, the ease of it. That's what people do. They maybe want to go and get that Starbucks coffee or whatever hell there is out there. I don't drink coffee, but that, whatever. Every once in a while, I'll go out and get myself a hot chocolate because I really like a hot chocolate. White hot chocolate with almond milk from Second Cup. That's what, everyone wants to treat themselves, and you should be able to do so. I should be able to spend, $4 on a hot chocolate or whatever, and it not like become World War III, you know? It's just, that's the part that's frustrating too. He explains, he's lived in poverty and he's had to give up a lot of things. He's, I think he's the oldest child as well. And he's been working since he was, 13 or something. He lived a very different life than Ashley did. And it's not that Ashley doesn't understand her privileges. I think she does to an extent. But Jasmine kind of comes in and maybe explains this a bit more and says, I think what he's trying to say is poverty in third world countries is different. That's fucking poverty. That is not the same thing. So him coming here and not living in a third world country and poverty being very different, it's hard for him to switch that mentality off because that is how he's used to being. He can't shut it off as easily as that. He's probably, had to live a life very different. That is maybe heartbreaking, and it does seem to be because Stacey's like, oh my God, I didn't know. I didn't realize that. He doesn't tell us that. But those are hard things for someone to talk about, first of all. But also Manuel just has a hard time opening up. And so we'll get into kind of where he is at here. So maybe prevents him from talking. Rob tells him, you gotta open up more. Which is, again, where is this person? Who is he? Manuel says, I just don't want to be a bother. Oh, oh man. I feel this just because I feel like that's kind of my boyfriend's the same way. They come from these places where you're supposed to be this man and be tough and not cry over spilled milk type situation, and they just don't want to burden somebody with the things that they're struggling with. And I'm just like, it's really hard to kind of make a man in particular, I think definitely a man like Manuel, to open up and just be like, just talk to me. Tell me how you're feeling. I'm your partner. I'm here to listen to you. At the very least, I'm here to listen. But they tell him you are not a bother and you don't have to do this on your own. They're family. And then Stacey ends us off by saying, maybe I'm okay with them having kids after all. Jesus Christ. But anyway, that's it for them. Mom and Sienna are now leaving, so it's fine. Now we got some. That's kind of it for Ashley Manuel, I guess, for now, or maybe forever. On this tell-all, anyways. So now we got some fun fan questions. I'm not gonna read all of them because I think some of this is really stupid. But one of the questions was whether or not Clayton has actually ever eaten a guinea pig. And no, he has not, and no, he never will. And Brow kind of like, well, Emily, sometimes you ever look at them guinea pigs and think they would look really good. No, Emily would never eat baby pig and the other pig that's name I don't remember. But the guinea pigs are delicious though. Um, and then this weird question comes up. And if you could have a child with anybody in the 90-day universe, who would it be, excluding the person that you're currently with? No one answers. Just to put that lightly, no one fucking answers. Rob was like, this is a trap ass question. I'm not answering this. Gino. I'll have kids with Gino. um, but yeah. Yeah. But Nikki says Jasmine. And Jasmine says, yeah, I would carry her baby. And then Jasmine tells us something that I don't think anyone was prepared to hear. She says, I'm attracted to both men and women. Oh, wait, really? Oh my, okay. Uh, wow. That's all I can say. I wasn't expecting that at all. Okay. But anyway, just hypothetically speaking, if she were to be with Nikki, she says, I would lick your pussy because since Justin and Igor want to do it, Gino would watch. My God. Dude's like, I'd watch. Oh, I think we're getting a little look into their love life a little bit. But anyways, Shaun is just at this point just kind of stirring the pot because we still have this freaking kids question. Like I said, no one answers. And then they said, what about a hookup? Still no one answers because they don't want to get in trouble with their significant others. But let's move on now to Gino and Jasmine. So, how's marriage? It's a work in progress. That's everything you want to hear. And, but let's talk about the dress, the whole situation with the dress. $4,000 was given to her for the dress, right? Back in Jerusalem, Panama. But instead, she used that $4,000, as we know, for her butt. Sam says, I would have killed her. Straight up, he's like, I would have killed her. They ask her, or Shaun asked her, how do you like other butt? You know, how are you feeling about that? First of all, she says, listen, my dress is sitting down there in the basement, not being touched. My ass, it's forever, and it is being touched, well, hopefully. But she does wish that she had gotten bigger implants. She's like, it needs a little more volume. Well, Gino, how do you feel about that? His answer, instead of just saying her ass is great, I love it, he says, the bigger the better. This fucking guy. He literally says, I love big butts, and I cannot lie. Sam was like, 5,000 per butt? That there are so many things you could have used that for. Sam was being a little judgy. But anyways. Then we bring up Dane Dan, who is not on this fucking tell-all. At least, isn't yet. I still hold out hope. If we ever going $2,000 into the butt, thing. And Sam asks, why would anyone give you that for no reason? And I do have to agree with Jasmine here. She's like, okay, but you're thinking with this other side of your brain, the main part of your brain, that tells you that everything, is sex, right? I don't necessarily think she did anything to get the money. I still think that maybe Dane Dan's reasons for giving her $2,000 as a gift is interesting. But she does say that he has a relationship. He doesn't want anything to do with Jasmine. So, like, is that a big deal? That doesn't mean shit. Who gives a shit if a man has somebody else in their life? Doesn't mean anything. Anyway. Rob says, but I heard things, where you would say, he's referring to when she would say, I fucked Dane Dan, this and that. And Jasmine says, I'm a bitch. I am a bitch, and that's why. Rob says, well, you got to then deal with the consequences of your choices, of telling him that you fuck Dane Dan, or you want to fuck Dane Dan, or you should have fucked Dane Dan. You gotta deal with those consequences now because Gino's not happy about hearing any of that shit, which is true. Then Shaun says, well, let me remind you when you said you should have fucked Dane Dan. And we get the clip, right? And Jasmine says, well, he says things too, which is true, he does. But Gino says, I only say things in response to when you say things, which isn't right either. Two wrongs don't make a right. But Gino says, Shaun asks, Gino, is having sex with your exes just easier than with Jasmine? I tell y'all, the longest fucking pause in history, easily 15 seconds. This man said not a fucking shit. And he says, no, not really. Then what the fuck were you thinking about? Anyway, how's the sex today? Well, I guess it's not really happening because it does affect the relationship. But anyway, then let's talk about the lip gloss. And when we're watching the clip back, Jasmine's face while watching this, if she could kill someone, she would have. My God. But people say, that was an extreme reaction, or Shaun says that was an extreme reaction. And, was the gloss fresh? She says it was fresh. But Gino says, listen, I had that car for like 6.5 years before I met her. I don't know whose it is and whatever. But no one actually thinks that Gino has cheated. I don't think he has either. And I honestly think that the lip gloss, it's nothing. Anyway, let's talk about the bachelor party. Oh shit. So here we go. Did you know, Jasmine, about the bachelor party? No. And here's the thing. She's like, I didn't do any of that shit, blah, blah. But he says, but you had a stripper before I came to Panama the last time, or the first time. And she's like, it was from my divorce party, and like freaks out at him and says, I didn't enter a strip club. Clayton says, she should have used that $2,000 for anger management. Shut the fuck up, Clayton. That is also what Jasmine says too. So she says, well, Shaun says, we got some never before seen footage of the strip club. Oh my God, y'all. We knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. Let's do this. So, we see Gino, making it rain, hugging strippers, putting money in the strippers' bra. I think one was like motorboating him. Then he gets on stage, which again we knew. But what we didn't know is the stripper, Publis, is basically reverse cowgirling Gino. Listen, I don't have a fucking problem if my man were to enter a strip club and watch a girl get it. I don't care. Okay? I don't care. As long as I know at the end of the day, the only person you're touching is me. I don't give a shit. But as soon as you go on stage and you got this girl reverse cowgirling your ass, we're gonna have a fucking problem. I'm gonna fucking lose my shit too. While this is all playing out, Gino is just smiling from ear to ear. And he's like, it was a fun night. While Jasmine is sitting there crying. And Gino doesn't even seem to give a shit. But guess what, guys? We got a person here who was there that night, who can shed a little bit of light on the situation. The stripper fucking Daisy. The one who I think was reverse cowgirling him. What the fuck? She tells everyone, you know what? He really did seem disinterested. He didn't want to really be there. He was kind of with his family. We saw the footage, Daisy. Don't lie to us. He was fucking ecstatic. Jasmine says if she saw this, she never would have married him. Jasmine says, I can't stay here. And she gets up. And she's like, you play Gino. You wanted this. You got it. Mm-hmm. Gino says I did nothing wrong, and Nikki goes after him. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, going to a strip club, you're not doing anything wrong. It is a bachelor party, whatever. But hugging the stripper, doing sex positions basically with the stripper, clothed, that's a problem. I do agree that that's a problem. But next time on, Gino says, well, my ex worked at a strip club, and maybe that's why Jasmine's freaking out. This fucking guy. Sam apparently had a one-night stand. More information on that. Brandy is here. Nick still calls Devin Piggy, this fucking guy. And Justin Igor is definitely showing his transphobia. But that is basically it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Week Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.